Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today it's Friday, March 22nd, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. First up, as you know from last week, Google released a core Google algorithm update. We were the first to actually break it before Google actually confirmed it, and now Google has to do some myth busting around it. So there's an article I wrote at Search Engine Land asking them a bunch of questions, and basically Google confirmed that this is not necessarily a reversal of the August 1st or other previous core updates. It's obviously an update to it. So with any updates to any core algorithm updates, sites that were affected or not affected may or may not see changes. That's just the way it works. It's not Penguin related at all. Google said it's just not. Google also said that this was not by far, they said the word by far, the largest update they've seen, or they actually released. It was definitely noticeable, but it was not the largest or biggest update they've ever done. Of course, if you were hit, it felt big to you. People were talking about neural matching and how it's related to that. Google said it's absolutely not related to neural matching. In fact, any updates done to neural matching were not at all related to any of the Google core updates, nor were they actually released at any time related at any other core update release. Sorry. And Google also said that Google has released many core updates over the time, even before Google actually started confirming Google core updates, including one of them were actually Hummingbird and so forth. So definitely take a look at that. Still collecting data on the survey, so if you haven't filled out that survey, please do so. We're at almost 500 responses. I'm trying to see if there's any information I can get through it. I went through about 100 responses so far. Nothing really is standing out to me yet, but I will keep going through them all. Again, the whole reversal thing around Google's March core update, I don't think it was a reversal, because basically going through the data, yes, while many sites have saw that either they were hit on August 1st and now they fully recovered, there were a lot of sites that got hit that didn't recover. Some sites got hit brand new that never were hit previously and so forth. So I don't think it was a reversal. It definitely obviously felt like it, but you can see here that only like less than 60% said they actually saw a recovery from the previous core updates. And that was skewed because I specifically emailed people who were actually hit saying, did they recover? And recovery is obviously really subjective. It's not like, oh, I saw a 10% increase, but previously I saw a 60% decrease. So, you know, that's pretty interesting. Big news this week outside of the core update was that Google just figured out that they stopped using RelNext as an indexing signal. Google basically ignores it completely. I noticed it a few days ago when I was on a blog, when I was asking John Mueller about this on March 19th. I think it was Tuesday or Monday. I forgot what date. And I asked John, you know, I know I saw somebody asked me in the SEO community, I have a site that does pagination and so forth using RelNext and Prev. We had a whole discussion about it. At no point did he mention that Google stopped using it. Well, I clicked on the indicating, there's an article indicating paginated content to Google, which is the original documentation around RelNext, Prev, and a 404. So I thought, that's weird. We mentioned to John, he said he'll look into it, whatever, and the video. And then all of a sudden, we noticed that a bunch of other people are noticing that that page is gone. So John actually responded saying, we noticed that we weren't using RelNext Prev indexing for a number of years now. What? So we thought we might as well remove the docs. All of a sudden, you noticed it. It looks like Gary Illish noticed it. They said, for the most part, we just index pages as we find them. So we're recommending them for a long time. It's just good to make pages that stand on their own. Again, since it's been hasn't been used in a while, it just seems like most sites are doing pagination in a reasonable way that works regardless of those links. People make good sites for a large part. And then I'm like, what do you mean? What's going on? Did you actually stop using it for indexing? Do you stop using it for merging pages as sets together? Said we don't use it at all. At all, we're not using it. And then Google's official post afterwards was, as we spring cleaning, as we evaluated our index signals, we decided to retire RelNext Prev. Studies show that users love single-page content. Aim for that when possible, but multi-part is also fine for Google search. Do what's best for your users. It's just craziness. So this morning I did a blog post about how John Mueller answered a bunch of questions this morning in a Webmaster Hangout related to Google removing RelNext and Prev. And let me just give you the bullet points. I go through all the transcripts. About a 10-minute thing about RelNext, Prev in this video. And John Mueller said, just keep doing what you're doing with pagination. Don't do anything different. If you haven't had any issues up to now, whatever you were doing back then is fine. It's working. Google hasn't supported them in years, Google said. RailNext and Prev specifically. Google just realized that they haven't supported them in years. They just literally realized it, I guess, a couple days ago. And they removed it from the docs. Google immediately wanted to let the community know after they figured out they stopped using it, that they stopped using it, and they wanted to let the community know. That communication wasn't really as good as they expected it to be. This way, Google said, they won't have to tell people to do things that are kind of unnecessary. And I think Google's referring unnecessary not by, Bing might use it or other people might, or accessibility or whatever it might be, but unnecessary because Google's communicating that they used it for merging pages into sets. That's not the case anymore, or for indexing. Google said there's nothing you need to change. It's definitely not the case that you should remove it from your paginated content. Same, not the case to make all your content on one single page. But you need to make sure that your paginated pages can stand on their own. Give it enough useful content to stand on their own. And you can also use third-party tools to see if crawling issues to deep product pages. Again, take a look at that. It's really important that you look at that, even though Google says it's not important because Google hasn't supported it in a long time. Talking about RailNext and Prev, Frederick from Bing said, Bing does use it, not for merging pages, but they do use it for, as they said here, discovery and for understanding a site structure of a website. But at this point, they're not merging pages together in an index based on these pages using RailNext and Prev. So they're not combining sets of pages like Google used to do in the original intent of that markup. What is neural matching? So last week we discussed neural matching was one of the speculations, myths around the last core update. Google then obviously denied it when I covered the myth busting, and I said, what is neural matching? So I wrote this blog post, but forget that. We did an update to that where I asked Google numerous questions about neural matching, how it actually impacts RankBrain, because to me, neural matching seemed more like RankBrain. And I was pretty much right. Google said, think of RankBrain that it helps Google better relate pages to concepts, and think of neural matching that helps Google better relate words to searches. Let me just go through their tweets. In short, RankBrain helps us better relate pages to concepts. Neural matching helps us better relate words to searches. RankBrain is an AI-based system that Google began using back in 2016 to understand how pages are related to concepts. It means we can better return relevant pages, even if they don't contain the exact words in search, by understanding the page related to other words and concepts. Again, Google understanding words on a page, understanding what those words on a page mean to a specific query. Now, neural matching is an AI-based system that Google began using in 2018, I think September 2018, or a little before that, primarily to understand how words are related to concepts. It's like a super synonym system. Synonyms are words that are closely related to other words. For example, neural matching helps us understand that a search "my TV looks strange" is related to the concept of the soap opera effect. We can then return pages that are about the soap opera effect, even those exact words weren't used. And here's a summary that Google give. And there's nothing special searchers or webmasters need to do. These are part of our core systems designed to naturally increase understanding. Again, just write your content, Google will figure it out, and Google's trying to figure it out in a more natural way. Very interesting. Definitely take a look at that. It's cool to understand how Google works. Google released their spam report yesterday. They do this annually, where they discuss what they've been doing in terms of spam efforts, manual actions, search console changes, and communication around the web. And in this, the most highlighted thing was that Google 2018 sent 4 million manual actions, but in 2017, I looked back at the number, they sent 6 million, so 2 million more in 2017 than they did in 2018, which is a 33% reduction in the number of manual actions that Google actually had to send, which is very, very interesting to me. Of those 4 million manual actions, only 2%, the 4 million manual actions, that accounts for only 2% of all notifications that Google sent through Webmaster Tools. Google sent 186 million messages. Only 96 million of those were actually delivered, because not everybody's verified. Compared that to 45 million with the previous year. So Google sending more notifications overall, but less, 33% less around the manual actions. Google received about twice as many spam reports in 2018 compared to the previous year. Google said they reduced the impact of user-generated content spam and also link spam and hack content. And they also beefed up their memory communication. I love these reports. Definitely take a look at it. I'm not going through everything there, but definitely take a look at that. Google Search Console now has the ability in the new version to remove XML sitemaps. You can see a screenshot of that right here. You can actually remove the sitemap. Now, Google also announced shortly after I posted that Google also added in their sitemaps report the ability to do a bunch of things, including open the report in a new tab, delete the sitemap, which we covered before, reviewing granular details for sitemaps and errors, and obviously presenting RSS and ADAM feeds in this sitemap report. Google also wants you to take a survey around what features you want built into the Google Search Console API. So definitely go ahead and take that survey. I have a link to the survey over here that will hopefully build some type of idea and roadmap on what Google wants to release on the API for Google Search Console. Google released another JavaScript and SEO video this week. This one is more about testing and debugging to see if your JavaScript web pages are being indexed by Google, and it goes through different tools and ideas specifically around that, and he goes basically through things like using Lighthouse, Search Console, mobile-friendly testing tool, and other methods to actually test and to debug that. Google said there's no organic traffic budget system. Basically, Google doesn't throttle your sites. So let's say you had 1,000 visitors today, Google's not going to say, oh, you can't get 2,000 visitors tomorrow, and so forth. There's no specific quota around that, which we covered numerous times in the past. Google seems to be testing, or actually launched, knowledge panels that have expandable features, kind of like the featured snippet thing. So you can see here, this is the knowledge panel. You can actually expand them to see more information. This supposedly launched a couple months ago as well, but I did not cover that. Google seems to be showing more video thumbnails in the Google search results, specifically on mobile. I'm able to see that myself. You can see it yourself as well. I'm seeing tons of video thumbnails in the mobile results. Google is testing launched a new UI for Q&A around Google Search. And we covered this back, I think, last May, where Google was asking searchers to provide answers to questions that they don't have, especially specifically in India and other countries, not in the US. And now they're testing a new UI for that to help people, answer questions that Google doesn't have content for yet. Google Ads is now recommending different columns automatically. So if Google thinks a certain column or metric of columns would be very useful to you in the Google Ads AdWords platform, Google will now recommend that column to you. And this is hilarious. Gary from Google has photobombed John Mueller in that video on March 19th. See him walking it over here, and then you can see him right behind him making faces in the camera, and John cracking up about that. Again, pretty funny. In any event, that is this week at the Search Engine Roundtable, the news, search engine news at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Again, today is Friday, March 22nd. Sorry this video was a bit longer. Sorry for my cough. I'll see you guys next week, and have a great weekend. Bye.